welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. This is our predicted lineup for Aston Villa v Wolves, joined by Justin. How are you, mate?
All right, mate. Good. Looking forward to this one. Interesting team selection ahead, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. We're really going to get our teeth into this lineup then, because we've had a week or so break. So, got to get back into our game zone and get ready for Wolves and the lineup. So, I know a lot of you have been watching the match preview. Wolves fans have been watching, especially on TikTok, because I was quite complimentary on Wolves. So that's gone down pretty well with the Wolves fans. So fair play to them. Right, so want to touch on the international roundup to start with. And we're going to talk about the two players that are featured for England and what that might mean for England moving forward. And then we're going to touch on a player who, I'm going to say this right now, had the best performance I think I've ever seen him have, right? So we'll get onto that in a second then. So England, Konsa made his debut. Watkins led the line on Friday or Saturday, can't remember what it was, Saturday, against Brazil. And I think they've both done really well. I think Watkins had literally no service against Brazil. Konsa was cool, calm, collected, breezed through it. Very easy on the eye. Don't even notice him playing because he's just that good and he goes about his business. And I think I really want to touch on, the media and Watkins, and it annoyed me. We're a Villa fan channel, so we can talk about it. The fact that I was hearing stuff on the punditry of, they're asking about Watkins and Tony, and they were saying, oh, well, ask me after the game and I'll tell you my thoughts on who I'm going to pick. And I'm just like, come on now. We're not just pinning this all down on one game or the two performances of one scoring a penalty and the other having no service and, didn't really have to do much because he had no service. And I just think, is it about time now that we put some respect on Ollie Watkins' name? Because 26 goal involvements this season, 16 goals, 10 assists. He offers something completely different to what any other forward offers England. I just find it baffling that the disrespect that he gets because one player put in a penalty, and I just don't understand it. And I think the one thing that I will say is that we know that we watch football differently now with our schooling of Unai Emery. And the one thing that I'll point out, which nobody pointed out, was Ollie Watkins made that goal for Jude Bellingham, because if it wasn't for Watkins' endeavour, his desire to keep that ball in play, knocked it back to Maddison, Bellingham, goal. So it's very easy to just think, oh, Maddison put a great ball in and Bellingham finished it. But, I was looking at that game against Belgium thinking this game needs a spark. It needs somebody that's going to invigorate the lineup and add something to this team going into the dying embers of a game that was looking pretty flat. And I think Watkins did exactly what he needed to do. So I've had a rant. I'm frustrated because I'm backing my player. I am sick and tired of the just bypassing of Villa, and it's really frustrating. So we've got a platform. We can voice our views. Watkins deserves more credit. Justin.
Totally agree, yeah. I thought both did really well. I thought Konsa was outstanding in both games. I think what he brings to that team is, when you look at tournament football and England tournaments, that can only take so many players. So if your ability is that you can play multiple positions and accomplishly playing multiple positions, then you become a really high profile player that really should be contemplated by the England manager to be in that squad. And what Ezri Konsa has done in the two games is showed that he's more than competent right back, which he's evolved in throughout the season. And he's a very, very good centre half for me. He should be starting for England. That's my opinion. I think he's a Rolls Royce of a central defender, and I think he slotted into the centre half spot when they had John Stones got injured. I think he's a perfect foil for John Stones. I think he's head and shoulders above Harry Maguire, but that's for another day. But as just a sole player to be in that squad, he's 1,000,000% for me in that squad because, we need to carry a few centre halves. Lewis Dunk has played himself out of contention, in my opinion. Conte's ability on the ball, his reading of the game, his calmness in possession, his ability to play two positions, he should be a shoe-in for that squad, but we don't pick the team. That's my opinion. And Ollie Watkins, very similar. It's not, I said it on Twitter last night, it's not for me an either or with Tony or Watkins. You should be taking both. Harry Kane is our established world-class centre forward and will play every single game if he's fit, barring if we win our first two games comfortably and qualify, then you might get rotation. I get the comparison saying that Tony's a like for Harry Kane. I don't think he is. I think he can hold the ball up. Harry Kane can do much more than Ivan Toney. He drops off, he can sit in the 10, his passing range is phenomenal, his goal scoring is ridiculous. He's the all-round package and we're very lucky to have him for England. What you want is players that can come in and do something a bit different, so I don't get this like for like. A bit similar to Ezri Konsa that can play right back or centre half. Ollie Watkins could also fill in one of the other positions, so if you get into a position where you are 20 minutes to go and you're chasing the game, then you can keep Kane. You can put Watkins in one of the left side attacking position if you want. Basically, where he's played Marcus Rashford on numerous occasions, and Rashford's evolved into a sort of centre forward / attacking wide man, and Ollie Watkins can do that more than adequately, and is in much better form than Marcus Rashford. So on just season's ability, what he's done up to now, if you're picking which an England manager, in my opinion, should, and one of my biggest problems with Gareth Southgate is that he doesn't pick players on form. He picks players on what they've done for him in the past, and that's fine if their form hasn't dropped off a cliff, which a lot of players have. For me, you take all three of them. You take Tony, Kane, and Watkins. You get to 5-10 minutes to go in a game, and you're chasing it. Throw all three of them on up top. We can easily, comfortably, with the emergence of Kobe Mainoo, who I've got to be honest, I've seen him a few times for Man United, but I've really watched him the last two games. He's a phenomenal talent. He has played himself into the team for me, not only the bloody squad. So if you've got Jude Bellingham, Kobe Mainoo, and Declan Rice as a midfield three, then you can easily go with 10 minutes to go. We throw all three of them up top and say we're going to create loads of chances here, lads. So you don't take Henderson. If you want to, I said it last night, if you want to take the cheerleader, someone that's been there, go and take Peter Kay and put him in there, the hotel and, tell him to tell jokes. He's finished at Henderson. He's finished. And Kobe Mainoo, whether he plays a minute or not in the tournament coming up, you take him for the experience. And it's ridiculous to even say that because he's good enough to play. He proved that last night against a very good side. He bossed that midfield. He made Declan Rice look average. He totally got the game. There's very few players you see play like that in their first game, and you go, bloody hell, he looks like he's played there for 10 years. We saw it with Jude Bellingham, and looks like we've unearthed another one. So you take them, you blood them, you give them the experience, and he's good enough to play. And with the players we've got around him in that squad, if only we had a manager that knew how to play with the handbrake off, that team's good enough to win this tournament at a canter. So lots of positives. Don't take the old school. Don't take Henderson. I wouldn't take Rashford. And I'd take Watkins. I'd take Tony. I'd take Mainoo. I'd take Kane. It's very simple for me. You go there and you say, let's go and win the tournament. Let's be positive.
I think the good thing about, and we'll get on to Villa in a minute, I think the good thing about what I saw from that England midfield is it finally looked balanced. It looked like it worked to me because for so many times over the years, we've had two holders in there, which I don't think we need, but we've kind of got Rice that was holding, Mainoo who was advancing and a bit more box to box, and then we've got Bellingham who was shifting around. We've got Foden moving around as well. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, so I want to see more of it. The best player on the pitch, though, was an Aston Villa player. Yuri Tielemans played the performance that I just could not believe I was watching. He was fantastic, Tielemans. He was so energetic, so lively. He was up and down. I saw this hunger to get on the end of that second one from that Lukaku, the desire to get on the end of that. But not only that, he was the one that pinged the ball into Lukaku to start with. We saw it early on in the game as well. He put a through ball in, like Lukaku got onto. I thought his touches were great. His reading of the game was brilliant. I think we heard them. I mean, early on in the season, he's not fit. He can't run. He looked like a man possessed playing against England. And I just thought he was so good and great to see. Great. What I'm really pleased with, and I know I hate international breaks, but what I was really pleased with in this international break was our players doing well and getting minutes. Watkins, Konsa doing well. We've got Diaby for France. We've got Douglas Luiz for Brazil. We've got Morgan Rogers playing and scoring goals for the under-21s. All contributing, all playing well. And I just think it was really, really, really pleasing. So a real big performance from Tielemans. And it was very, very pleasing to see. And it's made me think that he needs to play in a different position on Saturday. Justin, what were you? I guess you watched the game, but you must have been impressed with Tielemans.
Yeah, I thought he played really, really well. He's a good player, isn't he? He's a proper, for me, like an old-fashioned central midfield. He reminds me of like players we had when I first started watching the Villa, like the Ian Taylors, the George Botangs, the Andy Townsends. They're just good, solid, professional players. But he always looks knackered as well, doesn't he? Whenever the camera's on, he always looks like he ran a marathon. But he's got a great turn on him. He's got a great ability on the ball. He's got a lovely passing range. He's got good footballing IQ. He's got an eye for goal, which we saw last night. That fantastic late run into the box, which was very Ian Taylor-esque, wasn't it? Of arriving late at the back stick. Wonderful ball in from Lukaku with the outside of his left boot that picked him out. But, you've got to make that run, haven't you? And he finished it off with a plum. So it does us no harm at all for players like him getting, goals like that in international duty. And it's great to see, Yes, we all wince when our players go away, and it looks like we've had another injury with the Matty Cash. So that's unfortunate, but I think when you've got multiple players going away, not just representing the squads of their national team, but playing regular minutes now for top sides, like you say, Brazil, England, Belgium, Poland, good sides. It means that Villa are doing something right. It means we've got a very, very good side because we've got internationals all over the pitch now. Martinez going off with Argentina, Constance now England's national, Mings was in England international when he was fit. Watkins has played himself into the team. Like I say, young players coming through like Rogers now getting minutes and scoring for the under-21s. It's great. It shows that what we are doing is working, and where we are in the league and what our managers managed to do with this squad is he's managed to put our players right in the forefront of international managers' minds now, and they're getting recognition. The more players, if every single one of our squad is playing international football, we've got a bloody good squad, haven't we? So I'm all for it.
Yes, me too. Right, going into this running now, 9 games plus Europe, I really want to see the mentality monsters of this Unai Emery team. I want to see determination, desire, belief, commitment, quality. I want to see them before a game getting into a huddle now. And I want to see them just putting markers down from the first whistle, because this is a big 9 games in the league and a big game on Saturday. And I think key Villa players now, with injuries that we've got, we're really now going to see the Emi Martinez leadership qualities, Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa, Douglas Luiz, McGinn when he's back. I just want to see 110% performances where nothing gets left on that pitch now, because we're going to have to battle, and the battle starts on Saturday. So that's my little rally cry before the game. So, Unai, you don't have to do it. Right, so I've already put a few in, because I think they are just first names on the team sheet. If you disagree with these, then we've got problems before
I
we
wouldn't
even
pick Ollie
start,
Watkins.
right?
I'd pick Ivan Tony.
Right. So my thinking is Martinez obvious, Pau Torres obvious, Douglas Luiz, Bailey on the right, Watkins up top. Matty Cash's injury looking like 3 weeks. Maybe a bit less because he got that injury last week. So hopefully that's took a week off and it's 2 weeks, maybe. So he's going to be missing a few games. But a lot of you will know that I do really like the 3 centre halves. And we've got Man City coming up in the week as well, which remember Carlos pocketing Haaland? Remember that one? So he's probably going to do that again, maybe. So this is what I've gone with so far. Justin, you can fill in the 2 defenders that I've left out then. Who are we going left? Who are we going next to Pau and Konsa?
I think Carlos will play. I think he adds that physicality. I thought Longlay's done really, really well in this elongated spell he's had in the team. But I think given we've got a right-footed central defender now available, I think he'll come in and play. No disrespect whatsoever to Longley, he'll probably get minutes in this game as well. And fingers crossed, Pau Torres, he's now fully fit. We don't know whether we'll need him again in that position. I'd be tempted to maybe play him on Wednesday against Man City and leave Pau out. I know that's getting ahead of myself here. I've been thinking a lot about that Man City game and the importance of the 2 home games either side of that game. So, yes, for me, it's a must-win this Saturday, and Carlos would play alongside Pau with Konsa and allow us to play that sort of 3 central defenders that we've got. And I am, as I always am, with the left-back slot, totally on the fence with it. Both bring different attributes, both bring different things to our starting 11.
Shall I tell you where I'm at
Toss-a-coin.
then?
Go
Right, if
on,
you're
yes,
on the
please tell me where you're at.
you're on the fence, I'm off the
Help
fence.
me out.
I'm not on it. I think generally how this back line works is
Right.
we want the left back to bomb on, which I think
Yeah.
he's already said numerous times that he treats Moreno a bit more like a winger. The back 3 come across slightly, and then you've got your width there from Bailey and Moreno. I think they're playing 5 at the back. I think our pace can pin their 2 wing backs further back. And I do think it probably is the game to start Moreno, but we know what happens. Moreno comes off on around 65, 70. Luca Dean comes on. So they know the role. And I kind of understand this position a little bit more now because I kind of feel like he wants Moreno to have pure width and act as a winger. And then if the game's not going as planned, we've got Luca Dean's delivery that I think can be a little bit more penetrative when we are sort of maybe chasing the game or going deep into a game. So that's my thinking.
Yeah, I probably agree with you. I'm just looking at the Wolves lineup in the last game against Coventry, and it's probably not going to be a million miles away in this game because of the injury problems they've got. So they went with, like you say, 5 at the back. Semedo played as the right wing back with Sarabia in front of him in the front 3. So we both highlighted Aït-Nouri as a real threat for them. So I think that back 4 allows Konsa, who played exceptionally well against Vinicius Junior and for a time against what's his name, the Man City winger Doku. So with the greatest respect to Aït-Nouri, he's neither of them players. So I think that I think he's more than comfortable to sort of play against him. So yes, I think Pau can easily pick up Sarabia's runs, and then that leaves Moreno and Semedo really back jostling it out on that left hand side. And I'd like to think that Moreno could get the best of him. So yeah, I think I'll agree with you. We'll go with Moreno as we want to attack, don't we? Ultimately, and I think out of the 2, Moreno's the slightly more attacking option. So we're at home, we want to win the game, play the more attacking option.
And I think Konsa's biggest attribute is his 1v1 defending. So when he came up against Vinicius Junior, I was thinking that's fine because Konsa's so good at it. So I think when we think of Konsa being the right back, I think because he starts as a right back, it doesn't actually mean that he is technically the right back at times, because they
No.
do shift across a little bit. So it does become he does become a centre half, if that makes sense. So I think we do tweak on whether we allow Cash to go forward. And I think that's a decision that we make on a game by game basis. So I'm quite comfortable with Conser being there. I don't really think it's a problem at all. And I do prefer it. So hear me out, Justin. Hear me out.
Oh, here we go.
Yuri Tielemans was absolutely fantastic for Belgium, playing further forward in a three. For Aston Villa, he's played on the left, he's played on the right, or he has supported Ollie Watkins as that striker, that second shadow striker that drops into that box midfield. Now, with John McGinn out, how I feel is if we put Tielemans in that double pivot, it's weakening us further forward. So my thinking now, I've seen Mainu, and I'm not saying Irabunan's on that level, but if you don't play him, you're never going to know. And I know it's a big game and I know it's a derby, but I fully believe in Irabunan. And I think this is the game that we can play him. We can move Tielemans into a more advanced position. That is my thinking. And I know some will be disagreeing, saying play Tielemans deeper, which is fair enough. But I think with McGinn out and putting Tielemans in there, I think it weakens us further forward. Is my overall thinking.
Yes, I mean, I called for Irabunan to start up 2 or 3 weeks ago when we had more options in the team because of the same reasoning you're giving. Because when McGinn was fit, we all feel, and I think it's right for me, that McGinn offers more in the more attacking position. So I wanted to put Tim in for the same reasons you're now giving to put Tielemans in, because he gives you that better option in a more advanced position, as we saw last night for Belgium, that he is a good player in that hole. And I think his legs haven't gone, but I think he's better in a position where he's probably got less to do, if you know what I mean. Whereas in this double pivot, you've got to be very structured and you've got to be very solid in there. Now he's up against, you have to also obviously take into account who he'll be up against, and he'll probably be up against the young lad Tommy Doyle, who is a very similar age to him, 22. I think he's played 19 times, only 6 starts for Wolves. Now I think he is a good player, but you're then going up like for like. You know, João Gomez, who played for Brazil, up against Douglas Luiz, he'll know all about him. And you stick 2 young kids up against each other. So, Irabunan's had a good international break, scored an absolute worldie as well. So he's going to be coming back with a lot of confidence. So, given the players we've got out, I think the option is you either play Rodgers in the more advanced position and Tielemans sits in, or is Tielemans a better option going forward and Irabunan in the 6 now. I said it a few weeks ago, and I'm going to concur with you. I think it's time now to throw Tim Irabunan in, give him his feet, play him in a red hot derby, say, go on, son, go and fill your boots, make a hero of yourself.
I just see the team looking more balanced when it
There's the word.
I mean, this is the thing, right? So if we say take out Irabunan, you're putting Tielemans in there. So your next choice is you're either putting Rodgers on the left, because Ramsey's not going to play. I don't think he's fit. So it'll be Rodgers on the left, and then you're going to put Diaby up top. He'll drop into that sort of box midfield role, which is fine. Or do we go with Tielemans on the left? You've got Irabunan that can play in the double pivot, and then you can still play Diaby.
Yeah, I think when you're playing, if you're playing Rodgers, Watkins, Diaby, Bailey, you're almost going as a front four. And I mean, Rodgers hasn't set the world on fire for Villa. Now I'm not calling him out at all. He's a young kid stepping up and making his way at Villa. Now he's obviously got ability, but for me, Tielemans, Watkins, Diaby, Bailey has a far better ring to it than Rodgers, Watkins, Diaby, Bailey, because you're losing that little bit of nous where you play Rodgers or where you're playing Tielemans. And no, they're not like players; they're different players. But what Tielemans offers you in that position is the ability to drop in and make up the midfield three. You can almost and the way we like to play is this flexi system and sort of letting the players float in and out. Tielemans can almost come across and play as an 8/10 in the middle of Luiz Irabunum, allowing Diaby and Bailey to flank Watkins and play as a front three, at times. So, you've got a lot of flexibility with Tielemans playing in there. And if we are under the cosh, he will sit in and make up a midfield three, 4-3. And Diaby and Bailey can sit in either side and play, you know, play 4-5-1. I'm not saying that's the way we set up, but there's lots of ways of that side fitting in. The synergy between the players and the ability of all of them, and the experience of a Tielemans, I think he's probably better served playing in that position. It does put a little bit more pressure on Irabunum, but I think he's good enough. I do think he's good enough. He's not a finished article by a long stretch, but like you say, Kobe Mainu was thrown in at Man United. They had a lot of faith in him, and he's gone, yes, I am good enough. I'm going to show you how good I am, and look what's happened to him. So, is it time? Is it Timmy time? I think it's Timmy time.
I agree with you. I think it's time. I mean, just
And,
roughly.
sorry, do you know one other thing?
Go on.
The confidence that his name being read out at Villa Park in a derby game at home, everybody will be absolutely buzzing for the lad, and will be properly come on, son, this is your time. And let's not forget where he came from. He came from West Brom, didn't he? So the Wolves fans will hate him. So that's got an even better reason. So I'm from West Brom to Villa.
And I know we've had we don't make excuses, but we've had a bit of adversity with injuries and McGinn suspension. What I would say is let's not overcomplicate things. And I think Unai has slightly complicated things somewhat the last
I think he's
2
experimented,
games.
hasn't he?
Yeah, he is. But I think let's stick to what has been working and served us well to get us in this position that we're in. We look at a far better team when we play the system that we've been playing. And what I'll say is this. We went 5 at the back against Spurs. We can all admit that it didn't work. We went 2 up top with Duran and Watkins against West Ham. It didn't work. We reverted back to our normal shape. And for me, it's the unknown with Irabunum, which would probably think to some people would be a risk. But I think having Irabunum in there allows us to play more of like what we were when we had Kamara, and the team functions a lot better because if you've got Irabunum that drops and covers that right back role, you've got more structure and more cover for Konsa in there as well. And then that allows Bailey to have a little bit more freedom out there because, like what Bailey's dad said, he don't have to look behind his shoulder when John McGinn's playing. So he won't have to do the same thing when Irabunum's playing. So for me, I think this just makes more sense. And I think it allows us to look better further forward. I've got no problems with Rodgers starting. But I feel like what I do feel like with Rodgers is he's in that sort of impressing phase. And sometimes it just doesn't work. The pass might not work. And I think off the back of watching Tielemans, I think, if we're asking a player to pick a pass and find Watkins and that front three there on that right-hand side, Watkins, Diaby, Bailey, link up at home, just go for it. Just go for it at home.
The other thing is, if Wolves are fully fit, they've got a fully fit squad, they would be coming to Villa Park and playing more than likely Neto, Hwang and Kuna as a front three, dropping in and going for it. Now, we have got the ability to still play Watkins, Diaby and Bailey. Their front three is nowhere near their best front three. So that's where hopefully we will win the game, is we've got better quality in our attacking third. And our back line hopefully can cope with their backup front three, if you like. So we've got to play to our strengths. And I think with very few games left now, a handful of games left now, let's just go out and not worry about anything else. Let's not die wondering. I think that's the thing. Let's go for it. let's go for it and go for Wolves on Saturday.
Yes, so that's our lineup, Villa fans. Let us know your thoughts. You'd probably do something totally different to what we've done, but
Probably
this
not.
is what we've gone with. I think it looks quite good, to be fair. So I'll just show you one more time. That's our lineup. Let us know your thoughts on who you would go with. Comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. Smash a like, subscribe, and we'll see you for the opposition preview tomorrow. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.